No more fake hype. No more false alarms. The real thing is finally here. College football is back. Kicks off in just a few days. You're going to want to stay tuned for our college football week 0 preview and best bets episode. Welcome, football fans, to another edition of the D-Gen Docs. What is up, folks? That is right. What we've waited for all off season long is here. Football is finally back. We actually get to bet and watch real games just a few days away. What is up, folks? I'm one of your hosts here at the D-Gen Doc. More importantly, I am joined by my brother in degeneracy, Mr. Derek Bennett, a.k.a. Professor Locks. How are we doing tonight, brother?
Man, we got, 4 sleeps until football?
Yeah,
something like that. I don't know.
Oh, man.
We have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games that we can enjoy. We can play our hard-earned money on.
Little appetizer for the real thing when we have 60, 70 games to choose from. Right. But yes, what is up, folks? Hey, if it's your first time joining us, we appreciate you coming on at a great time, the start of a football season. We'll do a little bit of episode breakdown before we start. Expectation management is like we like to call it, some show structure. Let you know what you're about to get into. So typically, we do every week a college football 6-pack where we pick our 6 best games that we feel have a good edge from the betting side. So not necessarily your highest rated games, but the games that we feel we can give you the most value there on. This week, we're going to do a little mini 3-pack because we don't want to force a bunch of bets with only 8-game slate. So we got 3 games we feel really, really good about. So we'll go ahead and break down each game, give out our picks, and we will then, of course, end with a lock, a dog, and a parlay to close it out for the show. A little best bet segment. Before we jump into all of the football, I would like to go ahead and, look, man, I hope you're prepared because I didn't actually tell you this before the show. But
what are we doing? Whoa!
It's week 0. Football is back. I'd like to go ahead and propose a toast. This toast was originally, and yes, this is a tank that is pouring whiskey. Your eyes are not deceiving you. Shout out to my beautiful wife for winning this in a competition, actually. But it was originally just going to be a toast to the return of football, the return of actionable, real football that matters.
Sure.
But unfortunately, before we hopped on, we got some unfortunate news. A legend in life, really. Yeah. Miss Dolly Parton, unfortunately, just passed away. So this will be a dual shot to the return of college football and to Miss Dolly Parton.
I don't know if Aunt Dolly would appreciate that. She probably would, honestly.
What are you talking about? Of course she would. You tell me she doesn't like whiskey or football?
That's fair.
You can't live in Nashville for that long and not like whiskey and football.
That's a good point.
I'm assuming you're not partaking. So
give me 2 seconds.
Okay, I'll see. Like, this is what you do. Good friends bully other friends into drinking in the middle of the day. I think it'll help.
I don't have a glass.
Okay, here we go. Cheers to you folks. All right, now we can start the show. Here we go. Okay, so on to some news around with college football. Unfortunately, we have to talk about some villains of college football. We spoke about the Texas Tech Brennan Sorsby nonsense before. Yeah. We thought that was going to be the worst of it, but no, lo and behold, NFL players are now asking to be cut by their teams and suing to get back into college football for a 5th year, despite getting guaranteed money with signing bonuses, going through training camp, and just being old. There's a certain point where you got to let the dream die, get a real job, or do something with your life. Of course, the center of it all, LSU and Mr. Lane Kiffin, who stands for everything that is ruining college sports: money over loyalty, money over education, money over life, money over any shred of moral and ethics. That is Lane Kiffin, and LSU is trying to sign 2 and probably 3 guys that spent preseason, played in preseason games or training camp with NFL teams, and that were Ole Miss guys, breaking the rule of coming back to college from the NFL and interconference transfer from Ole Miss to LSU. Not supposed to be able to transfer within the SEC with those 5 and 5 year rules. What are your takeaways from this absolute shit show going on there in Baton Rouge?
Yeah, Lane Kiffin wants to be the most hated man in the sport by far. Between the changing from a playoff team and just jumping ship and saying, "Hey, I got a better job down in Baton Rouge."
Yeah,
cool, whatever.
Dipping out on a team like that team.
That's a shit move.
I mean, dude, they were 11-1. They won 2 playoffs.
Had a legit chance to get to the Natty.
You may never have that opportunity in your life as a coach again.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
if the money's right, I guess who cares about anything else?
Yeah, and it's a whole. It seems just like the state of Louisiana just says, "Fuck the rules. We're just going to throw them to the wind." The judges are allowing it to happen. The universities allow it to happen. Coach Kiffin.
Will Wade, the basketball coach, R.J. Lewis, played for Utah Jazz, played for the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
And now he's apparently back in college because why not?
Right.
I mean, you know what's actually crazy? Kim McCulkey, whatever her name is, obviously controversial. You want to talk about something messed up? She had a Ukrainian player on her team whose father is actively fighting in the war of Russia and Ukraine, and she recruited and brought in a Russian player, and the Ukrainian just quit the team. She just left the team because that's how much. I mean, I don't blame her. I mean, how are you going to do that? Sure. How insensitive. She made some comment about how they could be ambassadors and potentially end the war. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you serious? Yeah. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, I mean, sports does a lot of great things, but when you're asking 2 college girls to try to do that and go completely against, where what they're raised, where they're from,
putting his life on the line,
that's a shit ton to ask. Yeah,
that's I mean, dude, LSU, man.
Yeah, I mean, Sankey with the SEC has basically come out and said, that's not right. I don't like this. I don't know why or how LSU is going to be able to go above and beyond their conference as well to bring these guys in.
Yeah.
The Big Ten came out and said, nope, this is going. I mean, obviously, this is a 1-year thing. There's not going to be this headache moving forward, luckily.
I mean, they've been saying this about NIL. Oh, it can't be this bad. This won't happen. It's like this kind of Saban said it, like you're going to open a can of worms that you can't stop. And
it's there. And we're here.
Yeah.
But it's just sad for like those incoming freshmen that, hey, we got an open spot.
Dude.
Never mind.
Talk about, like, we've been in sports our whole life. Like, okay, you have a coach that is obviously preaching the same thing every coach does.
Yeah.
Hard work, building a culture. It starts in the off season, 2-a-days, whatever it may be, in the weight room. And then 2 weeks before the season, oh, by the way, guys, we're just going to bring these 2 guys in and they're going to play for us. They haven't been here. They haven't even played at LSU ever before. They were actually in the NFL.
They played for me last year, though, and because of that,
they're going to be on our team.
They know my system. They're going to be on the field.
You know what's really funny, though, and I think this is going to blow up in Kiffin's face? Defensive tackle Xavier Harris. I may be mispronouncing his name. Xavier Harris, I believe. He is one of the guys. There's a very funny situation. He went from being a day 2 prospect to undrafted because he suffered a pretty bad foot injury. We haven't got specifics, but it required foot surgery.
Right.
So he went undrafted. Saints picked him up, put him on the NFI non-football injury list.
Yep.
He got cut on August 8th because they didn't feel he was going to be ready to contribute anytime soon.
Sure.
This is a Saints team who lost star defensive tackle Brian Brzee to an ACL tear. They need defensive tackle help, and they still cut this dude.
Yeah.
He's 330 at playing weight. You're going to tell me he was in a boot for months. You think he was able to maintain a healthy weight?
Yeah.
So you have that situation. The dude that got arrested on 2 separate charges in Ole Miss, and this season he badmouthed Lane Kiffin when he left. Back in January, he talked shit about his former, now current head coach. Talk about a powder keg in the locker room waiting to happen. I actually think this is going to blow up really. I had a hope they're allowed to play because I think this is going to destroy that locker room. So I'm kind of looking forward to it in a kind of a sinister way. But
definitely makes a fun thing to watch. I mean, outside of the football that we're about to, partake in this coming Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, let's get to the games. We've got 3 games on the slate, all rematches from last season, which is pretty interesting. And not all week 1 rematch or week 0 rematches, but 2 out of the 3 games were week 1, week 0 rematches. So this is going to be a fun slate. Hey, before we jump in real quick, we still not too late to get into our college football season preview. We did a futures episode, season preview episode, give you a little teaser of some of our best bets. We talk win totals, college football playoff, Heisman, national championship picks. Just a little teaser.
Talked about 1 or 2 of the teams that we're going to be highlighting in this episode.
We did. So definitely not too late. Go ahead and check that out, folks, before week 1 kicks off to get on those picks. But now getting into the games, these odds are going to be brought to you by DraftKings, as we do the past season and this season. It's just easier to do from DraftKings. However, this show is not yet sponsored by a sportsbook.
It's true.
We will be open to that, but until then, we will give you the shop around best price available that we could find. So we'll give you the initial odds from DraftKings to make it clean and easy, and then when we give out our bets, we will actually tell you where it's coming from. All right, enough housekeeping. It's time to actually talk real football, real game. I feel like it's almost like I can't believe it. I feel like it's just been preview of things in the future. Yeah. But football is
a lot building to week 0. Game 1, TCU, UNC in Dublin, Ireland.
Dublin, Ireland, Aviva Stadium in the Aer Lingus College Football Classic kickoff here. We've got a couple teams that faced off last season, week 1.
On Labor Day, Monday night.
Yep, there was a lot of hype around Bill Belichick era, Chapel Bill. How's this going to look? UNC at UNC.
Started great. Couldn't have started better.
Vibes were so high. Everyone was
didn't take long
Bill Belichick's a winner. Yeah, it was 7-0 and then quickly became 48-0 or whatever, 7 or whatever it may have been. Game finished 48-14. Absolute beatdown by TCU last year. So revenge is on the mind for the Tar Heels. We got North Carolina at TCU, obviously neutral site game in Dublin, Ireland, which is a beautiful city if you have not had the chance to go. I would highly, highly recommend it. Now, it is some typical Dublin weather. 60s, cloudy, light rain, and the possibility of some wind. Not the best conditions. Not anything too crazy, but not sunny skies or anything like that. North Carolina catching 7.5, plus 240 on the money line. Over-under sitting at 47.5. TCU minus 7.5 the other way. Minus 298 on the money line. All right, my friend. I will let you start this one off. First bets of the college football season. Where are you going with this one?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the toughest of the 3 games that we're going to be talking about for me. I think last year, like you said, TCU dominated UNC other than UNC's first offensive drive. It was not even close. Yep. And the majority of the season kind of continued that way for UNC. They did end up with a few wins along the way. TCU kind of stumbled out of the gate outside of this UNC game, but ended up finishing 9-4. UNC brought in a shit ton of transfers last year. They had to do the exact same this year. I think they only have 3 or 4 returning starters on both sides of the ball. At the same time, this is a Bill Belichick coach team, and the defense was the better unit for UNC last year, and it did improve throughout the season. But the offensive side really, really struggled. Now, they bring in Bobby Petrino, long-time college offensive genius. It'll be interesting to see what the incoming offensive coordinator can really do to that UNC offense that just struggled mightily most of the year. Yep. On the other hand, TCU is basically old TCU outside of their offensive scheme. They are switching that up to more of a power run style system, which, to your point with the weather, may or may not be better for incoming quarterback Hoover there. So,
no, Hoover left.
Or not Hoover.
Craig,
yes.
The Harvard kid.
Yes, the Harvard kid. But yeah, I think overall, coming from, Ivy League Harvard up to playing a Bill Belichick ran defense in your first start in Dublin, Ireland, when the conditions aren't necessarily the greatest, on top of having a completely new offensive scheme, might be a recipe for disaster. At the same time, I think this TCU team is still a much better team, much better roster as a whole. So it's one of those tricky situations where, with Bill Belichick having 6 months to prepare for TCU, I don't necessarily know if I like that for an incoming transfer that's taking a step up in competition. So I am going to take UNC and the points at 7.5. I do like the under in this game with the weather the way it is. TCU changing their scheme. I think Bill Belichick is still an amazing defensive mind as a whole, and Sonny Dykes is too to that standpoint. So yeah, I'll take the under and UNC with the points.
Yeah, this is a nice matchup of a defensive-minded coach in Belichick and Sonny Dykes there with the offensive-minded guy. Now, they're going from, you mentioned it, an air raid to this new pro-style power run offense. You bring in a new offensive coordinator there. So UNC, not a lot of chemistry, a lot of turnover on the roster. TCU, basically outside of Josh Hoover, who is now at Indiana, the defending champion Hoosiers there, they have a lot of continuity. A lot of guys that are returning. They lost some guys to the draft that we'll talk about. But they are implementing a new system on offense. So despite, some of those offensive guys coming back, they do have to learn a new system, new offense, first week, a new offense, new quarterback coming in, step up in competition, a little bit of weather to deal with. So, yeah, I am on the under as well for that reason. UNC's defense was actually pretty good once they caught on the scheme last year. Gave up 21 points in less in 6 games last year. Also, we do have to talk about, we kind of mentioned it on the college football season preview, but TCU's chemistry in locker room is a bit in question as well. For those that missed this, TCU safety transferred in from CUSA. Jacob Fields, he beat up his own teammate and put him in the hospital in the locker room. Jacob Fields was dismissed from the team, and starting wide receiver Dozie Azukanma is still in the hospital recovering. So neither of those guys are going to be available for week 0. So you're down a starting safety and a starting wide receiver that you did not foresee coming. So despite this team with the more chemistry, new scheme coming in, new quarterback, and now we're scrambling a little bit. This is a secondary that's already having to replace Bud Clark, a guy who has been a very standout for them. He was now in the Seahawks, second-round pick. Unfortunately, he broke his leg.
He's out for injury too.
Yeah, that's for the NFL side. But they are down a couple guys there. They also lost their top wide receiver, Eric McAllister. So some leaders there. The O-line, past 2 years, they got some continuity, but they were really bad in rush offense. This wasn't, part of the air raid. This was a good pass offense. They were very, very pedestrian on the rush offense. And now you're wanting to lean on the run here with the new quarterback. I don't know how that's going to work right away. So UNC, Bobby Petrino, upgrade from Freddie Kitchens, I don't think can be overstated. He had a top 10 offense at Arkansas, despite Arkansas not having great talent.
2-11 or something like that.
Billy Edwards. He was hurt last year for Wisconsin, but when he played at Maryland, he was a capable starter. And I do think Belichick is able to get this defense ready. I don't think they'll have to deal with a little bit of the craziness, and I don't mind backing Belichick now that the hype is gone.
Well, between that and he kind of understands the college game a little bit more than he did coming in week 1 of last year. It is completely different, I'm sure, coaching 20-year-olds versus 30-year-olds to a certain extent. So, I think you hit the nail on the head as far as the Tar Heels had all the hype in the world last year. People had them going to the college football playoff, and then they ended up 4-8. Now they don't have that hype. It's kind of under the rug, if you will. We still have Jordan there on the sideline. But, I think UNC going into this week 1 matchup is in a pretty decent spot.
So we are both on UNC plus the 7.5 and the under 47.5. Okay, moving along here, let's go ahead and go on to game number 2 on the slate. we've got an ACC matchup here. Saturday, September 29th. Apologies, the first game was at 12 p.m. Eastern. This game is at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. NC State at Virginia at Scott Stadium there in Charlottesville, Virginia. This game was originally planned to play in Brazil. I don't know why. I really would like the international games at the NFL and college level. I think need to they need to take a break. I understand it's all about money and TV execs, but you're taking away football games from home stadiums. That is what football was about. It's the environments, the unique stadiums. I think we're getting a little ridiculous. So I'm glad this is being played on a campus and not somewhere in the middle of Brazil that no one there probably cares about North NC State or Virginia football. This weather, 80s, partly cloudy, mild wind, chance for scattered thunderstorms, but it seems like it should be pretty good to go there. This is an interesting matchup. Played last season. NC State handed Virginia one of their only losses of the season last year. They beat them 35-31. We now come into this one where NC State is catching 5.5 plus 180 on the money line. Over/under sitting at 53.5. Virginia laying the 5.5 at home, minus 218 on the money line here. NC State 8-5 last season. Virginia 11-3, lost in the ACC championship. Had a shot at a college football playoff spot. Unfortunately, did not pan out. Had a nice future on them that was going to be juicy. So a little bit of some hatred for the Cavaliers there, but they did win me a good amount of money. So where are you going here? Are you taking Virginia to get the revenge, or are you taking NC State to upset them again?
Yeah, I am going to side with UVA in this one.
Okay.
I think Virginia. I mean, Virginia has one of the strongest offensive lines in the country as far as continuity goes, and they did a pretty good job of keeping Morris upright last year. You bring in Bo Pribula and our boy Eli Holstein, but Pribula's going to get the start in this one.
Yep.
Probably a good move. And I think defensively, I think they just match up very well against NC State. They should have probably beat them last year. And overall, I just think UVA has the better culture compared to NC State and better continuity as a whole. So at home, again, it's on a college campus, like you said. I have a hard time picking, especially interconference games, for teams to come in as dogs and win on the road there. So, yeah, give me UVA.
Yeah, we're gonna differ on this one. First disagreements of the season. Charlottesville, beautiful area, very nice wine country. My wife and I spent some time over here in Virginia. Not a great football town, I'll tell you that. They're not, last season they were able to get more into it, but they're a bit of a fair weather fan base. I don't think this is going to be a crazy ruckus environment. NC State, both these teams really come in with a lot of questions.
Hey, it's fair weather. It's supposed to be 80 and partly cloudy.
So you think the wine and cheese crowd might be out in Charlottesville?
After coming off an ACC championship berth, why not?
3:30. This might interfere with some tea times coming off. The little bit of the wine happy hour. I don't know if they'll be able to squeeze in college football, but we'll see. But both these teams come in with a good amount of question marks. For NC State, they kind of got rated in the portal. Star running back Hollywood Smothers now at Texas because they have more money. Top tight end Justin Jolie now in the NFL with the Denver Broncos. They lost their top two wide receivers there, and they were beat up by injuries on defense last season, but they are getting those guys back. Virginia also is replacing a lot, including their star quarterback Chandler Morris last year, a very veteran quarterback. Now, you talk about the two quarterbacks they brought in, Bo Pribula and Eli Holstein. I guess we can call them veteran, but they've both been kind of kicked out of the last two schools they were at. Eli Holstein started out of Alabama, never got some burn there, went to Pitt. Then he started great and flamed out really bad. Got replaced by a true freshman, Mason Heinschel. Bo Pribula was a backup to Drew Aller on their CFP run. He left the team during the college football playoff to go be the guy at Mizzou. And he was quickly ran out of town. He suffered an injury, and they had another kid that they wanted in. And if you talk to some Mizzou fans, they were not happy with their return on investment with Pro Pribula. I would argue, you talked about culture. I think Dan Dorn there, or Coach Dorn, is established a really nice culture there in NC State. Tony Elliott had a great year last year, but he had some pretty bad years first 2 years. I think that was a little more of a flash in the pan than a sign of continued success. Virginia replacing their top 2 running backs, their top 3 wide receivers. They're all ACC tight end, 2 offensive linemen. Also, their best linebacker and defensive player, Cam Robinson, tore his ACL November 22nd of 2025. They're saying there's a chance he might play, but he's only 9.5 months off recovery. We know that means he's probably not going to be the Cam Robinson you'd expect, at least not in week 1. They're losing multiple key starters on the D-line and the secondary, and I think the difference in this game is the quarterback position. CJ Bailey popped onto the scene last year for NC State. He's a dual-threat guy. I would much rather have him over Bo Prebula. I think we've been a little bit underwhelmed with what he's shown us in his college career. So I'm going to take CJ Bailey. Both these teams do have a ton of question marks, so there is some variance. So I'm going to go ahead and take the team getting the 5.5. I think this is closer to a field goal game. I think NC State has the ability to win this outright. Also, let's not forget, Virginia was one of the luckiest teams in college football last year. 4 close wins. They had a stretch of 4 weeks where they won 3 games in overtime. That's pretty improbable to do. So every bounce seemingly went their way last season. I think regression is coming for Virginia, and I think it hits them in the mouth week 1. You're on UVA, the Cavaliers, to cover the 5.5 at home. I'm taking NC State. You can get them plus 5.5, minus 105 over on FanDuel. We have our first battle on the sheet of the season. All right, final game on the slate, game number 3. We've got a little bit of a nightcap here. Fun one.
Not as much of a nightcap as if we were.
Yes,
if teams were
on the island. This is early on island time. This is 7 p.m. Eastern, so I think it's 1 p.m. 1 p.m. Hawaii time,
like that, yeah.
Whatever time zone that is. So Saturday, September 29th, 7 p.m. Eastern, we have the Hawai'i Rainbow Warriors at the Stanford Cardinal there at Stanford Stadium in Stanford, California. Weather 60s, mostly clear. Light wind, not really a chance of rain as of now. Hawaii, these two teams played week 0 last year, and Hawaii got the better of Stanford by a field goal in that game. Stanford had a late fourth quarter lead. Hawaii kicked 2 field goals within the last 2 minutes to go ahead and win that game on the island there. You got Hawaii catching the 4.5, or I should say Hawaii, as they say in the island there. Right. Catching the 4. This number opened at 3, got shot up to like 5.5, 6.5, and is now back down to 4, 3.5. You can get out there. Yeah. Hawaii plus 4, minus 112, plus 154 on the money line. Over under sit at 48.5. Stanford laying the 4 at home, minus 185 as we have it now. I'll toss it over to you, my friend. Where are you going in this final matchup here?
Yeah, I looking at this one, I think the records are hard to go against, but if you dig a little bit deeper, Stanford actually was 4-2 last year at home. Hawaii was an offense that had times where it could really hum and put some points up. The problem with that is they lost a lot of it in terms of production at the quarterback position. Yeah. They should still be a decent offense if their quarterback turns out to be anything. I mean, they have one of the better running backs in the, Mountain West, I think? No.
Yeah, they're in the Mountain West.
Mountain West, yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
But yeah, Stanford, on the other hand, I mean, Frank Reich came in and turned that program in the right direction, I guess, last year. Andrew Luck is kind of at the helm out his alma mater in Stanford, brought in his old head coach and Frank Reich, got him to 4 wins, even though he only had a few months to prepare for the season. They brought in Tavita Pritchard, who was a Stanford quarterback from back in the early 2000s. But anyways, I think as a whole, this Stanford team started in the right direction last year. I think they're going to continue to do so. And again, Stanford at home just tends to play better than on the road. So yeah, give me the the Stanford trees or Cardinals or whatever we want to call them these days.
Yes, I love Stanford as well in this one because we are in a situation where we are going to be fading a little bit of a public dog here in Hawaii.
Sure, too.
At least over on DraftKings, it seems like every Twitter capper out there is giving out Hawaii money line, Hawaii on with the points. High flying offense. And I get it. I think that it is a fun offense to go ahead and back, and everyone loves betting on Hawaii, especially with the late night games. Everyone has a fun, moment of them betting on Hawaii. But not so fast, my friends, because public dogs have fleas here. Hawaii has an injury situation that we need to monitor. I don't know how much we're going to get until, college football injuries are a bit of the Wild West, but their top wide receiver, Pafole Ashlock, he was second team All Mountain West preseason. He was one of their best wide receivers. He's been dealing with the knee injury that kept him out all of fall camp. As of last week, he had not practiced, officially questionable, but even if he does go, I think he's going to be pretty limited in this one. And if he's out or limited, then they're replacing their top two wide receivers. You talked about the lack of depth at the quarterback position. Alvarado there, he is, or Alejandro, I may be mispronouncing that, but the quarterback for Hawaii, he's a stud. However, he can get banged up. Durability questions. You got questions on the offensive line. You're replacing 3 out of 5 on the offensive line. And their 2 backup quarterbacks who are worth the snuff have now transferred out. So if he goes down, this could be horrendous for Hawaii. They have 0 run game, and I don't expect that to be coming. Tokyo Toe, really fun story in the last season. He's now in the NFL, so you don't have a kicker that could make from 50-plus consistently. Their defense lost a ton, and where I'm going to specifically take you is their D-line. They lost 6 players that contributed on the D-line, accounting for 41 tackles, 20 sacks, and their top 2 sack guys from last season. I think the biggest matchup to watch here and the biggest mismatch is Stanford's offensive line against Hawaii's defensive line. This Stanford offensive line, if we think about Stanford, Christian McCaffrey, Toby Gerhart, when you think of that, when they had those good teams, offensive line. Andrew Luck knows that. That's where they're going to refocus there. You got all juniors and seniors with starting experience on the offensive line, and you bring back your leading rusher, Micah Ford, who's the first guy in, I think, 4 or 5 years to eclipse over 500 yards for them in a season. So you finally have some consistency there, and that's where I'm going to take you. So give me Stanford. You can get a -3.5, -115 over at FanDuel. The other play I really, really like here is starting running back Micah Ford over 87.5 rush yards. You can get that at -115 over at Bet365. I think this is a ladder opportunity. Last time he played Hawaii in a game that they wind up losing by a field goal there, 26 carries, 113 yards, and 1 touchdown. Now we have an improved offensive line. Your RB2, who has taken some carries, is gone. And now they're a favorite at home, where they were 4-2 last season. They were 4-2 at home, and then they lost every game on the road. So it's a better team at home. They're going to be behind this veteran offensive line. I love Stanford here, and I love Micah Ford to get it done on the ground. Anything to add there for this final game?
Nope, I don't think so. Time for the best segment of the episode.
Best bets. I do want to mention here just a couple public teams. Looking at some of the bet slits there over on DraftKings. We got some VSiN betting splits. Looks like TCU is a massive, massive public favorite. Look like they're getting 71% of the bets, 70% of the handle on the spread. 85% of the bets, 74% of the handle on the money line. So that is a dangerous situation you're walking into. Also, it looks like the under is the favorite play on the NC State Virginia Cavaliers play there. And for the Hawaii, again, Hawaii is the public dog. Looks like they're getting 86% of the bets on Hawaii money line. But only, so that's not where I want to be with the public dog there. So, okay, best bet segment, first one of the year to round out the episode. Where are you taking us? What is your lock, dog, and parlay for CFB Week 0?
I like Stanford and Stanford Stadium in Stanford, California. I mean, I think the biggest thing is honestly, I mean, yes, you have a new head coach, but they played well in Stanford last year. And you mentioned the big disparity between the offensive line of Stanford compared to the defensive line of Hawaii. I like your Micah Ford angle there. I think that Stanford puts it to them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're all right. So you got Stanford for your lock. Yeah, I'm going to stick in that game for mine. Micah Ford over 87.5 rush yards, minus 115, bet 365 there. Yeah, I mean, he had over 110 yards against them last time. I think this is ladder opportunity. You can get 100 yards at plus 135, 110 at plus 190, 120 at plus 260. It's probably where I'd cap it out there, but he's going to be the lead back. We both see them winning this game. They're going to lean on the run. They're going to try to make Hawaii tired. How do you stop an air raid offense? You take the air out of the ball, right? You get them quick out, and then you keep them on the sidelines. So I think if they can run the ball effectively, that is the path to success. So we both kind of see that game plan paying out. What is your dog for the week?
I might not say that you can completely take the air out of that ball because I think Hawaii is still going to be able to put up some points against the Stanford team. I think there's going to be points in that game. So I'm going to, although, yes, I am on UNC, there's a reason why I'm not taking them as my dog because I'm on the other two favorites. I'm going to take an alt line. Hawaii Stanford over 54.5 at plus 157. The original line's 48.5. So traditional 6-point bump there. I think Stanford's offense is going to be better than it was last year. Hawaii's defense is worse. Hawaii's offense just historically puts up points. So I think this is going to be a high-flying contest there in Stanford.
Yeah, I mean, if I don't really trust Hawaii's defense, and it's not like Stanford has a super stout defense, right? So I can definitely see there being some points involved in this one. For me, I'm going to keep it simple. NC State money line plus 180. They beat this team last year. I think they beat a better Virginia team last year. Now both teams coming in with a ton of question marks, but I like the quarterback, CJ Bailey over Bo Prebula, and I think hopefully my cat approves of the dog play there. What is your parlay for CFB Week 0?
All right, so going back all the way back to our first game that we talked about, UNC TCU. I took UNC with the points at 7.5. I also took the under 47.5. I still think TCU ends up winning this game. So I'm trying to find the needle in the haystack in that 7.5 point spread. But UNC with the points under 47.5, but TCU ends up pulling it out money line. If you put all three of those things together, it's plus 525.
All right, plus 525. What a way to start it out. That's a nice, juicy parlay there. I'm going to be a little bit less in comparison. I'll go NC State and Stanford money line. Just a simple two-team money line, plus 332 over on FanDuel. So over 3-1, just for two teams to win a nice little college football game there. We did it, folks. We are back. That is the College Football Week 0 preview and best bets episode. Like I said, folks, we have the college football season preview, futures, Heisman picks, win totals. We crushed it last season, so you're going to want to jump on those before Week 1 kicks off. And we are finally back to real football. No more tennis, no more fake football and soccer, caring about, Little League World Series. Football is back. Everything is right with the world. What do you got for people before we get on out of here?
If you have played in the NFL and are trying to go back to college football, there are other leagues out there. Canadian Football League, the UFL, and for those of you that are not, keep checking us out over here at DFSG Plus. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button down there if you haven't already done so. We're trying to grow this channel to like 1 million followers. We're over 1,000 now, so thank you for those of you that have already subscribed. But we are back, and football is right around the corner. We're going to start doing episodes every Tuesday and Wednesday, basically from here on out, with another episode or two sprinkled in there until the Super Bowl's played. So
yeah, exactly.
Lock in.
We're locking in. Turn on your notifications. But like Derek said, like, subscribe. Every Tuesday, we will do our college football picks. Every Wednesday, we will do our NFL picks. We'll have a couple more fun episodes for you. Survivor, a little bit of best ball fantasy before the NFL season kicks off. But that'll be the battle rhythm. Might be kicking around some top injury video once a week there as well. We'll kind of work back channel that. But you can tell I'm out of practice because I always typically will do our lock dog parlay recap. So really quickly, Derek's got Professor Lock Stanford -4, dog Hawai'i Stanford alt over 54.5 plus 157, and then we've got UNC to cover, TCU to win, and the under 47.5 at a juicy plus 525. For myself, the lock is Micah Ford over 87.5 rush yards, -115 over at Bet365. NC State on the money line, plus 180 as the dog, and NC State in Stanford money line at a juicy plus 332. You know what they say, folks. A lock a day keeps the bookie away. And here at the D-Den Docs, we've got your prescription. From Professor Locks and Doc here on DFSG Plus, we are out of here.